welcome to Oops All Segments, the very best podcast hitting your eardrums at this very moment. I am Kevin.
I'm Thomas, and today we are here with Michael Petrow from the Real Debaters podcast. Welcome, Michael.
Woo!
Hello, gentlemen. Michael? Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Michael, is there anything new in your life going on? Anything that you're debating really in your... I don't know. Sorry.
Nice.
I swung.
Anything you're debating really?
I'm currently debating whether we should do our roof before the rest of the winter. I am currently debating if I should go see Wicked first or Gladiator 2. And
yes.
I was masturbating. No, sorry, wrong debating.
Right. Yeah. For those listening, it's like we're in the first week of snowfall in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Maybe second week. We just sort of got some snow. It's sticking around now. So you're screwed. I think you're screwed if you haven't gotten your roof finished yet.
No, the roof is finished. It's just we did the garage roof, and now I'm looking at how my OCD's kicking in, and I don't know if I can survive 5 months because I'm seeing different shingle colors when I drive up.
I see. Soon enough it should be covered in snow, and you won't have to deal with seeing it, right? So you won't have to deal with it for a long period of time, just for a short period of time.
Very
so
true.
So it won't be so bad. Yeah, won't be so bad. But I hear you. I get it. I just let the roof fall, cave in. Is sort of my style.
I'm gonna take a swing at this.
Okay, go ahead, Meryl.
You wanted to masturbate, and you also were deciding which movie to see. I feel like the land of Oz is quite amenable to a man behind a curtain who's pulling on the strings or something else. If you were to jack off, I believe that might be quite popular.
And you Scarecrow, you're
going to be popular if you jack off at Wicked. So
you think he's going to be popular if he goes into a theater?
I think, he can go Alpha
family
Balls
film?
Deep. He can.
Obviously not, right?
Yeah, he's going to be able to do that.
I heard Paul Rubens did it once and it didn't work out well. So
that's bullshit. Yeah. Let's start there. He went to a pornography theater to masturbate and he got canceled for it. That's what they're for.
I'm in the same boat as you, sir. I'm like, if this isn't the place, then what is the place?
Right. So is this a true? Someone went to
I think he might have got canceled because in the world of Pee-wee's Playhouse, the chair is a living being. So it was like he's masturbating on top of me. It's got big eyes, and it's like
this is assault because I'm an actual entity.
Pee-wee. Yeah. So that
get your Pee-wee out of me, Herman.
Yeah. From a large marge to a large charge, he was actually put in prison for public jackery.
Public jackery. Yeah.
Strawberry jackery.
That's good.
I'm sorry to interject so much about.
Thomas, you have something you need to get off your chest. It sounds like
I made the dang turkey for the first time.
You did
at Thanksgiving. I think I talked about it last time. American Thanksgiving. While we record this is coming out in a week or so. But I never made a turkey before. Butter basted the bird. I used one of those oven cooking bags to soak it in its own juices. And I checked the temperature obsessively, and it did turn out very delicious, very juicy. I fucked up the gravy a little bit, but
what went wrong with the gravy?
So I think attempting to make the roux, the kind of drippings mixed with the flour turned into a dough, got pretty lumpy. But we had this delicious turkey stock from the giblets and the neck, and so
it just sounds like such a disgusting process.
And it turned into a pretty good
I know
gravy.
It's good, but like the bag and the juices and the giblets, like there's just a lot of vernacular I'm not loving when we talk about sort of prepping a turkey.
I understand, but it went well. People gobbled it down, so to speak.
That's true. Did you have have tons of turkey left over?
I could have got a bigger bird. That was my one regret. We had a fair
how many
bit
pounds
left
is your
over.
bird?
Yeah,
we only did we had 7 people. We did I think a 14-pound bird, which was enough. But then everyone takes home some leftovers, and so we didn't get that much. I actually went to the store and bought some more meat to use I'm going to make a turkey stew with the carcass. So I'm excited.
As you do, yes,
that. Yeah.
as you do.
Okay, all right, champ. You're turning into quite the culinary man over there, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm. Hold up, let me cook. I'm actually pretty damn handy in the old kitchen.
Do you cook more than Kim does in the house?
Do I cook more than 0? Let me think.
Let me check the math on that. Hang on.
Yeah.
I do. Yes. Kim is not much of a chef.
Okay.
So yes, I liked cooking before, but then yes, since I don't know, moving to Chicago, being out on my own here, I'm not a master chef by any means. The other person that came and made the potatoes and stuff at our house was so much better than me, but I'm getting more into it, and I do enjoy it if I can just get the right groceries in advance.
Yeah. Are you a big cook, Michael? Do you like to cook?
Oh, I used to, and then I met a lovely woman who's from a farm family. So I've been exiled from the kitchen. I can't. I go. Here's a meal. Here's me cooking. I'm like, Shauna, I'm gonna make a snack, and then about 30 seconds in, I'm back in front of the TV, and she's doing it because I'll do it wrong. But here's the best part of it. She's such a. I got so lucky. Like I don't deserve the woman I have because she enjoys doing it. She's from a big family. She's from a big farm. So feed the men, right? Ukrainian. You know, it's in her bones.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
People will come over, and like sometimes I'm not hungry when everyone else is hungry.
Feminist alert.
Sorry. Yeah, that's automatic. We've tried to turn it off.
I'm sorry I triggered it.
Yeah. It's very
we have no
sensitive
control
these
over
days.
that.
It's almost like anything you say will get it going. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, congratulations.
Hey,
that is great. That is great. That is actually kind of the dream. I don't mind cooking. I enjoy it. It's the act of creating a mess that I have to clean up.
That is hard.
Is the thing I dislike the most about cooking. And so I find it very tough to like fully immerse and enjoy myself in the act of cooking. But I do like it.
We did a little 1 a.m. post Friendsgiving clean. We didn't do everything, but we cleaned a fair bit of it because we knew waking up the next day would be so unpleasant. So we're like, let's just get some of this done now, throw it in the dishwasher, whatever we can.
I mean, part of it is having cats. They will you can't have just like food dishes out on the counter. You have to kind of put away everything. So I sort of forced to clean everything up that's on the counters, no matter what.
We're one more now than the bylaw allows in Winnipeg for cats. I just found that out yesterday.
Yeah.
And,
okay. We will dox you for this. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can. Yeah. At least
Yeah.
I'm not stepping on them, but like I'm learning that these new kittens that we got really do like I've never had cats that like human food, but if you're not looking, you're it's insane how much these two kittens eat.
Our cats are big human food people because I think one of Kara's old roommates used to endear them to her by feeding them.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like because cats they like you, but they'll teach you consent. They will be like, I don't want to hang out with you right now. Which some of us need to be taught those things. Thomas, but
I owned a cat.
I know cat etiquette.
Feminist alert.
Everyone knows cats are girls, dogs are boys. That's true.
It's true.
Just
it's
logic.
True. Should we dive into our
I wanted
first
to
segment?
check quickly, Michael. Is that Bender from the Breakfast Club behind you holding up a poster? Is that what that is?
No, that hang on, let me turn my shoulder. That is do you guys remember when you'd go to the movies and there'd be those big cardboard cutouts?
Yes, of course.
And you'd be like, how do I get my hands on those? Well, I met somebody who has the skills to get those. So that's Rocky.
Sure.
Over there.
It's Rocky.
That's Rocky doing the big punch from Rocky 5. And then if you look over in this hang on.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're backwards. There we go.
That's the Joker right there in the background.
I see. Okay. Yes.
See it.
Yeah.
But
it's his body.
Anyways,
yes.
It's his body. Yeah. So I have giant cardboard cutouts of masculine men in my room.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Kind of an altar to the incel in some ways.
Yeah. It's in the basement. Yeah, I have an AK-47 just sitting right outside too. So I mean,
well, still be safe when the worst happens, when they try to vaccinate
Thomas,
you.
I think
time to play the game.
I think it's time for us to do our first segment. Normally, folks, we spin the wheel for a warm-up segment, but I don't think that's what's happening today because I understand that Michael has brought us a plethora of segments.
I do, and I have 3. So because I was a fat child, so I always overcompensate. I fill my plate
Shout
twice
out
as
to
heavy.
the fat kids in the room. I'm here too.
Chub. So I brought 3. We used to, when we started the show, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, so I just threw a bunch. Like, the reason why I appreciate your show so much is because you do segments, and I'm such a fan of segments because, again, the OCD is going to be the theme throughout the show. I need order. I need something tight. I need to follow. I need a through line, right? So I had all these things together, and then since then we've kind of come to find our own groove. But we have this dump truck of unused segments that are perfect for a show like this. So,
and we do call this show sort of the dump of other podcasts. People kind of come to offload their sort of dead, defunct, sort of unused ideas, the cutting room floor, as it were.
It pretty much is, sir. It pretty much is.
That's what this show is.
We're inhaling microplastics acoustically. So it's good, yes. Michael, what's the first segment?
So we called this one Admit It, because when you start a movie podcast, the first thing someone says to you is, have you seen this movie? And when you say no, they look at you like, how dare you, right? You've committed this giant sin of not seeing this movie that you find interesting, that you love and you have a memory attached to, but I don't. So so we thought, all right, everybody always talks about the movies that they've seen, but they never talk about the movies that they haven't seen. They never stand by why. It could be a really good reason. It could be a shitty reason. So I figured we'd play a round of Admit It and see where the 3 of us sit in the world of
this.
Globally known cinema. Things that it's like, are you?
These are like big iconic movies that you definitely should have seen. Thomas admitted to one of these. I'm on an earlier episode.
I have not seen Titanic.
Yeah,
and I even made a commitment that I will never see it on that episode. So
now, normally when we do this, we make a safe space. But because you haven't seen that, Thomas, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And it's this podcast is anything but.
I feel that it is overly sympathetic to the iceberg. It's platforming someone who, frankly, I can't agree with or abide. And I feel that
Thomas
it's like
is
a
always
movie.
described.
It's like a Scorsese. I would like it to be a little clearer who the villains are, please.
Right. You've always said the iceberg is sort of problematic for you.
So you don't side with the iceberg's politics? Is that the thing?
I find the iceberg to be brazen, obnoxious.
I really, honestly, Michael, what I think it is that the iceberg sort of represents and indicates quite strongly that global warming is likely occurring, and Thomas is sort of a conspiracy theorist, denier, sort of rejecter of the general science of things.
Yeah, I bet Leo and Kate could have wished for a little more global warming when they crashed into that thing. I bet they were a little.
That was the lifesaver.
The fossil fuel industry had been working a little overtime.
I understand it. I've seen it probably 15, 20 times at this point. Like with people like you loser who hasn't seen it. I've taken them up the mountain the first time. But you know what? I've never actually thought about it this way, Thomas, where the iceberg is the antagonist, so to speak. Like I look at Billy Zane as the antagonist, right? Like you read into the characters of it. But when you think about it,
Ant meets Boot, sort of in a way when it comes to the iceberg. It's the iceberg. The iceberg is the great equalizer.
Okay,
in that movie.
But not having seen it, I do have one question. Then, where do you lie on the debate that Jack could have got on the door? The door.
So this is kind of one of the, and I bet this will be a theme for this segment. But I feel there are some movies that are so culturally prevalent that without seeing them, you sort of feel that you have seen them. And Titanic's one of them.
Yes,
I've heard a lot about this debate, and I do feel. I'm pretty sure James Cameron did a full experiment to be like, it wouldn't be buoyant with 2 people on it.
He's rich and successful enough that he was able to be that petty to make the effort. But
I feel it's one of those Die Hard as a Christmas movie things that people say to sound clever, to make fun of the door moment, and I won't abide that. I think It's also, Hitchcock used to talk about the most annoying audience members that his films were the plausibles, the people who talked about what was plausible or not. And he was like, just watch the movie, just take it in the spirit it was meant to.
Suspend disbelief.
In the modern age where 90% of the popular movies that are coming out are about superpowers and like insane plot-driven happenstance situations and magical beings and what have you. It seems odd that we're so that when something isn't a superhero movie or a fantasy movie, it has to prescribe to explicit realism in all ways. And I think that's something that modern cinema, as like cameras and movies have gotten higher def and as
motion smoothing shit.
There's a hypernaturalism you can't get away from when it comes to these. I'm just speaking like genuinely about film theory.
Oh, I know,
here, but
Kevin, you've frozen again. What is going on? This has happened in the last couple episodes that Kevin will periodically will lose him.
It's a great shot to land on though, because it's this like, hey, it's like a Fonzie just walked in kind of moment.
That's a thumbnail image. Kevin,
there he is. He's back.
You gotta hardwire your damn Ethernet, my friend.
I did. It's fucking plugged in. I just fucking turned on the Wi-Fi to get back. This is fucked. This is absolutely fucked. I pay so much money for this.
I'm in the same boat as you, dude. No, to your point, Thomas.
Yes.
Like to your point, Kevin. Like we go to the cinema, we go to the movies to escape reality. Right? Like we don't, and I mean, if there is a movie that, is based on some truth, is autobiographical, even semi-autobiographical, you just want to go there. I don't care about the actual reality of the situation because we all know you made it in a building. It didn't get made at the place where it supposedly happened.
Right.
So like just simmer the fuck down,
like,
people.
You know that like even though Bohemian Rhapsody diverges in a bunch of ways, it isn't a perfect film. That's not Freddie Mercury, right? Like, it's like he's dead, actually. Like
those teeth are buried long.
What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh man, we just burst.
One of my favorite bad biopic scenes is, I believe, in Bohemian Rhapsody. There's like a moment where like Freddie Mercury. It's basically the end of The Godfather, but where he goes to hang out with like bad gay people, and then the door closes, and it's like he's gonna go die from his lifestyle choices. And I remember that feeling very weird and sinister in an uncomfortable way.
There's nothing like a movie being of its time to show how they felt about it.
I like what Nick Cage also says about film acting, which is that like with painting or other artistic mediums, there are different styles that you could act in that are equally legitimate, and he likes to act in an expressionistic way, which is rarely seen. It's sort of like naturalism is the default, so we assume that is the best way to do it. But why not perform in a different style?
Right? Yeah. But
Kevin, what about you? What haven't you seen?
So we've talked a lot about Titanic. The movie for me that I haven't seen is maybe, and I'm embarrassed about it. And I want to see it, but also it's Citizen Kane. I've never seen Citizen Kane.
Really?
Yeah, I've never, and it's like supposed to be.
And you sit here and try to talk about film theory. Shut up.
I know, right? I've taken enough film classes. I've studied well. I've read books. I've never seen Citizen Kane. I've never seen it.
You fucking loser!
Holy shit!
Christ.
You
What do you mean?
Pathetic worm.
Why?
You know nothing
Kevin, I'm leaving.
About the meteoric rise and fall of a media tycoon.
I've seen Orson Welles and Me.
Orson
Okay.
Welles?
Okay.
Orson Here's a Who, Kevin? Orson Here's a Who? What's his name again?
Is that Orson's cousin? Was that on Tubi?
Fuck.
Orson Here's a Who?
Shit. Oh no, I meant Orson Welles and Me. And your dad, who's for sure gonna hear this, taught me Orson Welles and Me.
Literally every aspect of this conversation will enrage my dad in a different way.
So glad I could be a part of this whole thing. Dude, you know what? I hadn't seen it forever. The first person I interviewed for the show was Doug Morrow. He was a makeup artist, and
I was talking. Great guy.
Do you know? Everyone in town knows Doug. Doug's touched everyone's face, and
it's true.
It's heart and lovely man.
Yeah,
but he looked at me with this, like, why are you doing this if you don't know what you're talking about? And it was this silent shame. And I went home, and that afternoon I popped it in. And I mean, it is, you know, we've done an episode on the show where we argued what was better, Paddington 2 or Citizen Kane, because for a minute, Paddington 2 toppled Citizen Kane from Rotten Tomatoes Best 100, right? It was.
I love Paddington 2.
Everybody does. You don't have a soul if you don't.
Yeah,
but
no, it's perfect.
At the same time, the reason you watch it is because you watch the first time in cinema history that the story didn't go in linear order. And all of these fade outs and flashbacks and camera tricks that nobody could ever do before were done out of sheer ignorance, right? When they always ask Orson, they say, why could you do what you did? And he's like, sheer ignorance. I didn't know I couldn't. So I just tried it, and it ended up working out the way it does. When you watch it, though, you will see every filmmaker that you love, all of the tricks when they first started, which is a good enough reason to watch it.
The use of deep focus in particular, there's some really great shots where you can see like frames within frames, like characters in a window in the background of a house. But I wanted to do this, and I don't know how much I could get, but so much of it has been parodied in The Simpsons.
Oh, yes.
I feel like you could put together almost the full film just from shots where it's been referenced in different Simpsons episodes.
I have a deep curiosity about it. I really want to watch it. Part of one of the struggles in my current lifestyle is that Kara and I are we both own Dreamland Diner together, and we both work a lot at the restaurant, but our schedules are sort of opposite.
I love your diner, by the way. Your hot dogs are delicious.
Oh, thank you so much. But it's a struggle sometimes. When we come home, we'll often smoke a lot of weed and watch television together, but we don't watch a lot of movies. Partly because the weed means that we're not always paying full attention, so it's easier if it's like a serialized television show.
Totally.
It's like a lighter thing. But I love movies. I love watching movies, but I don't like, and I'm sometimes we'll spend 90 minutes, 2 hours doing such a thing, but we don't dedicate the focused energy towards the film, which I wish I could.
I have a theory on this.
Yeah.
And first of all, Dreamland sounds like you're talking about Xanadu. the
mountain, the house on the mountain,
mountainous home that Charles Foster Kane develops and sort of isolates him from the rest of the world. This is my thought. This is my thought, is that I've been thinking about, I saw a video essay that talked about video games and how people crave a sense of progression. So a game like Stardew Valley or Diablo, where you can level up and grind, even if minute to minute it's not that much fun. It's like less fun than a more exciting game. But overall, you get the sense of gradual growth, which is very satisfying to me.
Yes, totally.
And
Farmville's like that.
Zelda's another good example.
Exactly.
I think that TV, in a weird way, replicates the feeling of progression because you are moving through seasons, episodes, you're getting farther into the show. And I think that's why people are so much more inclined to, like, let's watch the next episode. Maybe we'll watch one more. Oh, I'm already on season 3. Movie's like one and
it is
done.
In a way, and like a season is a level, and I totally understand that analogy. It makes a lot of sense to me, and like there's a comfort and a phone distraction thing. Like Kara and I don't spend a lot of time watching stuff intently. We don't see a ton of movies in the theaters. We don't, and so I'd like to spend. So now these days I'm like, especially classic cinema. Kara's not against it, but she's not sitting around eager to watch Citizen Kane.
I'm a big classic movie person, and I've had to find ones that my partner likes to watch. And I discovered that because she's done some clowning, some circus school, so she really likes Chaplin movies or Keaton movies. Like she enjoys that. The kind of 40s romantic comedies. We just watched Shop Around the Corner, which is one of my favorite movies. And she now loves it too. It's a great classic Christmas movie, and it's romantic.
Well, Shop Around the Corner is the inspiration for You've Got Mail.
That's right. That's very true.
Right? Nothing's new. The same 12 stories.
Yeah. It's beautiful. But we need to know, Michael, what is you've done 266 episodes of a podcast.
I saw this movie 1,000 times.
And which one have you not seen even once?
You know, movies are tough for me because I come from a broken home, so someone else's world was more interesting than the one I was occupying.
Sure.
The father figure in my life had a giant, like, we had a big screen. We had an entertainment system that when we moved couldn't be moved out of the house because it was built inside the house.
Yeah.
So it stayed with it, and then just like rows upon rows of like Dr. Zhivago and Platoon and Godfather. Like, I came up on classic cinema because it was all like the male gaze of cinema because it was a man's collection.
Sure.
My stepmother had nothing to do with it. So like movies are tough for me. I have to go to something big in television to have not seen.
Okay.
So we've
you have a pretty
done
encyclopedic knowledge of cinema.
Can I pull some obscure classics up because I've got this list of 100 movies to see when I was in film school.
Sure. I'm
curious if I can find one. I probably haven't seen it either. That you yourself have not seen. For example, maybe you've seen it. Sunrise: A Song of Two Humans, a classic silent drama from 1927. Have you seen that?
Oh, I know how this is gonna. No. No, I haven't seen.
Great.
I actually saw it. That was like one of the first movies I watched in film school.
I've seen it too. I just pulled up the list and I was like, this is an easy way to. I'll just get you with the silent films.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's gotta be something.
You should go check it out. It's a story of redemption. A man who tortured by his domestic life. Considers murdering his own wife and then realizes what he's doing, regrets it, and then they slowly find their way back to each other. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
I would take time for that. I mean, that sounds very Hitchcockian. That sounds very Akira Kurosawa. Like the 20s silent film. Not my jam, but
visually pretty. They were trying a lot of things. They were doing a lot of like big dissolves, big long like cross dissolves and stuff. I remember that movie.
Yeah, it'll make you a God-fearing man, which is the goal of all cinema. So, is there then a big TV show that you were going to say, Michael, that you've never given the time to?
What's the big one?
Are you guys sitting down? You ready for this one? Because this one, we did a whole trivia night. Our trivia nights are now themed around if one of us hasn't seen a thing, then the crowd and the cast are encouraged to make fun of that person all night long throughout trivia for not having seen it. So our first one we did was The Simpsons. I have not.
Oh no!
That's pretty insane. That's pretty huge. That's gonna fuck Thomas.
When I was referencing all the Simpson shots in Citizen Kane, you were like, I've heard that the opposite. I'm gonna recognize the Simpsons from all the Citizen Kane knowledge that I have.
When I haven't seen those episodes, I do know they exist. You've
never watched an episode of The Simpsons? That's crazy.
I shouldn't say I've never watched. I've watched maybe 5, which is to say I've never seen anything. Right? Like
right.
I know pigs fly. I know your epidermis is showing.
Like the
the big ones, right?
You want to talk about culturally quoted.
Yes,
shows.
right. How you know Titanic, Thomas. I know The Simpsons because everyone's like, well, The Simpsons are going to fucking predict the future. So,
which is crazy though. You're at least our age or a little older, and it was like it was extremely relevant for like my brother's generation, which my brothers are 8 and 10 years older than me, so they're in their like 40s now, and it was like extrememely relevant for their generation, and like it was like so quotable, and even for mine, like. I mean, it's impressive to me that you avoided it for so long. Were your parents
and now
like,
it's
puritanical about it? I know a lot of kids who couldn't watch it.
It was a Catholic home. It was my mom saw Eat My Shorts Man and was like, I'm a single mother. I can't add to the fire. I need to.
Yeah,
sure. I was already somebody who was a bit of an. I wasn't a good child. I was a great child. No, I was a problem child, and like. Yeah. So she just was like, none of this, right? And the joke is that when I went to bed, she turned it on and was like, look at what this fucking kid's missing. And
disgusting!
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point, 30 some odd seasons of something that, I mean, I'd rather, like you say, you have a limited amount of time, Kevin. You get home and it's like, let's do a show. So your time is valuable more now than it was before. So Simpsons, to me, it's more fun to eat shit on than it is to actually see. Like I like the look. I like the fact that I am completely removed from so many great one-liners, some of the best comedy writing of television. Conan O'Brien doing his stint on it. Like I know the sausage of The Simpsons. I know I've seen the Inside the Actor's Studio where they take an hour to interview the actor, and then they take the other hour and they interview the character from the actor, and you get to hear the voices. Like, I love that stuff, but I can't sit down for 22 minutes of it and ingest it. And thus, here we are. I'm a 42-year-old male who can't understand Bart, Homer, Marge, Lisa, or Maggie.
I think that's probably makes you. I was once told that it's a good thing I don't have any tattoos because I look. It's now more uncommon as a man to not have tattoos than it is to have tattoos.
There was a moment, yeah, for sure.
That might be, given your age and your masculinity, that might be
or lack thereof.
Yeah. Well, it might actually be a good flag to wave as there's a level of seeing The Simpsons at this point, and now it's not even good. So it's
this is what I'll say, Michael. I'm going to speak to the other side of this. Yeah, I mean, it is, in my opinion, the greatest comedy TV ever made. And it's not that big of a window that you need to see. It's really 5 seasons, 22-minute episodes, season 3 to season 8. I guess that's 6 seasons.
That's 6 seasons.
But throw one
Assuming
on
it's
just
inclusive.
before bed. Throw one on before bed. Watch through those seasons. I know it's kind of a badge of honor to not have seen much of it, but I really think you'll find some joy. It'll make you a funnier person. It really is special.
I mean,
that's what I'm looking forward to the most is like
not
what
funnier.
Here's but here's the problem.
Our podcast by having not seen it.
I'm sorry for bringing the shame to Oops All segments.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It was either that or Toy Story, right? And I know Simpsons always gets the bigger answer, but the thing is now, though, guys, is that if this does happen, I'm the kind of person who wants to then be in on the joke, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna walk up to people 30 years late and start dropping Simpsons lines out of the blue, and they're gonna be like, "We don't want to be friends with you."
You're leaving a 7-Eleven saying "Thank you, come again," and they are accusing you of racism and canceling you on the spot.
You just really hook into the Apu of it all.
Exactly, right?
He's big on Apu and Bumblebee, man, for some reason. Those seem to be his favorite characters.
And Mr. Burns is my hero. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. I think we'd better take a quick break, get away from this controversial subject, and we'll come back with more segments from Michael.
Webster's Dictionary defines podcast as a domesticated, odd-toed, hoofed mammal with a great affinity for oats.
That's a horse.
Oh, right.
But we are a podcast, and we're called Roommate Lovers.
We do advice questions, such as, why is my roommate using my toothbrush?
How do I flirt without being creepy?
Why are you using my toothbrush?
I told you, I just couldn't find mine that day. We live together and are together, which is why we call the show Roommate Lovers.
We're roommate and lover. We're roommates and lovers.
Well said.
Gross. Find new episodes of Roommate Lovers on Mondays, wherever you podcast.
Now that's a podcast of a different color.
You mean horse?
Yes, of course.
Anyway, we're back. Michael, what do you have next for us? What do you have?
What do I have next for you? Okay, so there are 2 options here. I love the game Would You Rather. I think it's a great party game.
Classic.
I think it's a great conversation starter. I mean, I work in a corporate world, so whenever you meet a bunch of people for the first time at some new training seminar, it's a great way to break the ice. Which, speaking of, how much does a polar bear weigh?
Enough to shatter them crystals.
Yeah, exactly. Enough to break the ice. It's my dad joke for the week. Filled my quota. Anyway, so let's do some Would You Rathers. Now, my Would You Rathers. I mean, like, I got a range of them.
They walk on top of the ice, so I don't know if that's true.
Oh, all right, you're that guy with the joke. Okay. So let's start with one that's already on theme here.
Where do you think polar bears live?
What the fuck?
Because it's just kind of, I'm stuck on this now. They're in the Arctic and the ice, whatever. I mean, I know comedy is subjective, but I just wanted to clarify. What Thomas, the fuck are you talking about?
Thomas, you were sending me a lot of texts about, I can't believe this guy hasn't seen The Simpsons. I'm going to fucking ruin this now. This is the last 3 messages I can see here.
I'm going to burn this episode to the fucking ground.
Don't, right? Leave it alone. Be nice.
I brought my bullets. I'm sorry, Thomas. I didn't mean for a kill shot.
Just get to your fucking segment.
All right, this one's for you, Thomas. We'll start there. Would you rather survive the tornado in Twister? Or actually, let's rephrase that. Would you rather deal with the tornado in Twister or trying to get off the Titanic into a rowboat? Now, considering you haven't seen the movie, I think I know your answer, but let's try anyway.
I mean, I saw Twisters, and it felt like Twisters were low-key fun. You just drive around, you shove your little truck ropes into the ground, and then you a tornado hunter. I don't know. I mean, it seemed
with a YouTube channel.
Yeah, way more survivable than the Titanic, which was almost certain death. So I would go with the Twister, I think.
Okay.
Though it is a scarier way to die, maybe to get thrown into the air like that. I mean, that's really intense. But I don't know. I just feel like if you just get some heavy stuff, you hold yourself down, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I find a doorway, a basement, a truck with an auger on it that digs into the ground, because I can tell you those are not incredibly common. But yeah, I can definitely see that. Kevin, what about you? Do you want to be on the top of the Titanic, or do you want to be flung from Kansas to Missouri?
Are we assuming that I'm in the time period of the Titanic?
Yeah, you are. This is what we do with Would You Rather. You take on the cinematic nature of the scene.
I've got, just because I'm not. What year was that? That was like the early 1900s.
Yeah, late 1920s. I think.
I think I would have to be put in the servants' quarters and then killed because I'm not white. So I think. I mean, I could get by. I could definitely do the whole. Then
I love how you're using your station in life and the culture of the time to put yourself where you'd be on the Titanic.
I'm just trying to think. I could be like wily like Jack is, but I think that story goes differently if Jack's brown. I think it doesn't work the same way.
Yeah, Jack's not in the movie.
I think they
Jack's
chain him up in the basement,
and
that's how the movie starts. That scene where he gets handcuffed to the poles in the basement. If you're brown, that's just what it starts like. That's the beginning of the film.
That's how you got on the ship.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not exactly convinced I'm doing well on the Titanic, so I'd probably take my chances.
They'd probably get you to play in the band while the ship sank.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll be the guy who plays the drums and smiles. But I, but on the with the I actually speaking of movies, I haven't seen Twister. And
like original Helen Hunt, Brian, like Bill. I haven't seen it either, apparently. Thank you, Bill Paxton. No, okay, that's okay. I mean, it's in comparison, if you want to talk cinematic, I mean, Twister should have been made now. I haven't seen Twisters 2, but I feel that Twisters 2 was a real like CGI is prime for a movie like Twisters 2. Sure. The fact that they got away with it in Twister 1 as well as they did is a testament to practical effects and whatnot. But I'm still a loser for not seeing it. Sorry.
Is the tornado in Twister 1, is it unique, or is it just a regular decent tornado that they happen to go see, or is it like some super tornado?
Big ass tornado.
Yeah, there's one that's been following her for years. They've got a really bad relationship. It shows up every.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, that F1, I tell you, I can't outrun it.
You said you would leave us alone.
It's kind of like Cape Fear.
I gave you half my house last time.
It's like Cape Fear, where she puts the tornado behind bars and it gets out.
Yes.
The tornado's in the back of a movie theater laughing.
Tornado has love and hate sort of written on it in neon signs that it's sucked up. It's beautiful. Yeah.
But I mean, can we all just appreciate though how, like, if you're really in a jam and you need to funnel some money through taxes quickly, if you just put tornado at the end of the movie title, you are in a great position. We will all watch a movie with a tornado in it. Sharknado,
exciting. Yeah.
Alligator-nado, any NATO, like it's just ridiculous.
NATO, the North American Treaty.
I would watch
that too.
That's a gripping drama on HBO.
Kevin's frozen again. I'll say
no, he's back.
He's back.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'll just live in this state of in and out.
You won't believe the twist in this movie. Maybe would have been a good tagline for Twister.
That would have been fantastic.
But the movie doesn't have a twist, does it?
It has a big twist. Twister.
Yeah. What Thomas said.
Is there any more on this Would You Rather? Should we move to your final segment?
Yeah. I've got we had one where Roger Ebert, I think we can all agree, is the master of the film review, right?
I'd give him 2 massive thumbs up.
Yeah, right. So he's, and may he rest in cinematic peace forever and ever and always be remembered as the voice of cinema. And one of the guys I think one of the only guys who, when he reviewed Jim Carrey for the first time in Ace Ventura, years later came back and said, I was wrong. Right. And for somebody in the media to have the humility to admit that they were wrong after Mr. Carrey had 3 #1 movies in the theater in the same year, you got to shout out the guy. He's Canadian.
Yeah.
Never mind.
That is impressive. Yeah.
Right.
I feel like if Roger Ebert were still alive and watched Ace Ventura one more time, he'd be like, actually, I was right the first time. This movie does not hold up as much as...
He's watching When Nature Calls and is like...
Dumb and Dumber holds up. Ace Ventura has not aged well, unfortunately.
Right. There's a lot of problematic jokes in that movie. Yeah.
He does, though,
I like this.
From time to time, he does get pretty serious about some of his movies, and he's got some 1.5 star and 2.5 star reviews. So I figured we called this Roger's regret when we did it. Do we think that Roger would regret his review now when we look back on it XYZ years later? And I figure I've got 3 movies to choose from. We'll choose one because I'll bring it up. I'll read some of the points from it, and then we can kind of dissect it from what we know about it, what we don't know about it. So we can either do Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Armageddon, or Patch Adams.
Okay.
I have only seen Fear and Loathing. I have not seen the other 2 films.
I'm surprised you haven't seen Armageddon. Patch Adams I haven't seen either, but Armageddon's pretty iconic.
That's the meteor they send the... the scientists instead of the astronauts or whatever.
Yeah. It's great.
They send the rock drillers instead of the scientists.
Right. They send the working class out into space.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Blue collar will save the day. Which one do we want to do?
Let's do the one that Thomas has seen. Let's do Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Fantastic.
The Johnny Depp sort of star vehicle in a way. The Hunter S. Thompson bio-esque pick.
So Roger Ebert gave this American classic 1 star out of 5.
Wow.
And I don't know if that was after his drug period or before. We don't know. So maybe he couldn't really sympathize with our 2 lead characters. But I'll give you some of the first paragraph here. So Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a funny book by a gifted writer who seems gifted and funny no longer. He coined the term gonzo journalism to describe his guerrilla approach to reporting, which consisted of getting stoned out of his mind, hurling himself at a story, and recording it in a forensic hyperbole. I don't see a problem with that. The point of the movie, though, is that as he was funny before it flamed out, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a film based on a book of the same name. In the trunk of their car, they carried an inventory of grass, mescaline acid, cocaine, uppers, booze, and ether. That ether, it's wicked high, hurtling through the desert in a gas-guzzling convertible that they hallucinate attacks by giant bats, and speaking as your attorney, the lawyer advised them on a drug ingestion. On here. The result is a horrible mess of a movie without shape, trajectory, or purpose. A one-joke movie if it had one joke. The 2 characters wander witlessly past the bizarre backdrops of Las Vegas while zonked out of their minds. Humor depends on attitude. Beyond a certain point, you don't have an attitude. You simply inhabit a state. I've heard a lot of funny jokes about drunks and druggies, but these guys are stoned beyond comprehension to the point where most of their dialogue can be paraphrased as The story, Thompson has been sent to Vegas to cover the Mint 400, a desert motorcycle race that stays in a report on a convention of district attorneys. Both of these events dimly visible in the background. The foreground is occupied by Duke and Gonzo, staggering through increasingly hazy days. One of Duke's most incisive interviews is with the maid who arrives to clean the room. He's trashed. You must know what's going on here in this hotel. What do you think is going on here? Johnny Depp has been gifted and an incentive actor in films like Benny and June and Ed Wood. Here he's given characters with no nuance, a man who's only variable in his current degree. He's out of it. He plays Duke in Disguise, Strange Bats, Big Shades, and the ever-present cigar holder. So, Thomas, with those comments so far, how do you feel about the movie, first of all?
You know, it's interesting because I'm not a big drug person myself, and so I never fully connected with it. I feel like it's okay, but I didn't quite get the hype the way that some of my friends got very into it. And so I can kind of relate to Ebert's review, and my instinct would be, just hearing this, that it might just not be for him. It might just be a style of movie that he just doesn't connect with. It certainly like resonated with a lot of like teenagers at my high school when I was like growing up, and maybe,
to be clear, Ebert was 56 years old when this movie came out.
It's true,
right? So he's of an old generation by this point.
I can also see, the difficulty like translating Hunter S. Thompson's writing to cinema. I don't know. It might just be hard to like capture that same sense of humor visually. So I don't know. I kind of, my instinct is that he just it bugged him, and I also think the edginess of the movie maybe is less now than it was at the time. Now that drugs are so much more kind of decriminalized in some cases, or more every day, that your family members are doing edibles or mushrooms or taking MDMA or mescaline for like spiritual healing reasons, that I don't know, it might not quite have the same impact that it had at the time.
I actually agree with you on this. I like this movie. I like this movie in the background for dumb, random one-liners. I like tuning in and seeing them be like, fucking backcountry. Like it's synonymous with pop culture in the way that if you read Hunter S. Thompson, you can appreciate this, but you're right. It doesn't translate from book to screen. Right? Reading Hunter S. Thompson's gonzo journalism looks like a reason to just get fucked up on screen. And for a certain generation, for a certain time period, the smoking circles at school, if you'd seen the movie, if you were even a fan of Monty Python, because it's Terry Gilliam, right? Like it's his wacky mind.
Right.
And I think really the only director of the time who could probably take a gonzo journalistic story and try to encapsulate like everything about Hunter. Hunter was on the page. Hunter really couldn't be, and I mean, even Where the Buffalo Roam with Bill Murray back in like the late 70s, early 80s, like both attempts at this, they just showcase a party lifestyle. They don't really tell a great story. And the story can be told in the book way better. So yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with Roger that, I mean, maybe I'd give it 2 stars just because that I'm entertained, but 1 star, like there's no movie there. It's just what's the word I'm looking for? Like addiction and withdrawal and obsession and politics, and it just mashed into one thing. Anyways, Kevin, you haven't seen it at all? Like it never showed up on your radar? Oh.
Kevin, we can't hear you, but in just a second, you're going to hear Kevin's...
I hate this shit.
Now you're back. You're back.
I hate it so much.
We heard I hate this shit very clearly.
Fuck me, man. I have seen it.
Gonzo podcasting.
I have seen it. I saw it in around probably like late high school. Someone showed it to me. And though I'm a big pothead now, I've never really extended my narcotic use beyond that, and the very infrequent use of mushrooms once in a while, every few years. But I don't go so. And back then, when I did see it, I was not a drug user at all.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time maybe appreciating entirely what it was like. It just felt like. It felt like it was something trying to capture the 70s, which probably wasn't even accurate, but that's just what I associated all heavy drug use time periods with when I was like in high school, post-high school, just initially. I thought it was like a fun, weird movie, but I had some friends like Thomas that were really high on it and thought it was really funky, and were probably just kind of bandwagoning the sort of pop culture cult film nature of it, because it was kind of a flop when it came out. It didn't do that well.
Super huge flop. It was.
Yeah,
it was
went
more or less
budget.
It was an independent. It kept Johnny Depp in the spotlight. I mean, I think he just did it to be friends with Hunter S. Thompson, because from that point on, there was like a small group of them that just went around and drank pills and shaved each other's heads and
just did crazy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to be fucked up. But you know what I think too? I think a lot of people saw it when they had their first trip. And that accentuates the trip, so they've got an anchor memory to it where it's like, oh man, that trip was crazy.
Do you guys think it was doing stuff that was unique for the time in cinema? Because Terry Gilliam can be pretty out there, and I remember the cinematography being really like very like, it reminded me now when I try to think of another film, it feels a lot like Natural Born Killers. Totally
agree.
You know, and like, so this like hyper kind of movies made in the 90s that were very like trying to capture almost a little bit that Romeo plus Juliet by Baz Luhrmann, like this like highly saturated, everything's too vibrant and a little too much. And so if artistically there's some aesthetic value to it, I think maybe Ebert was a little off. The other thing to note is that this would have happened. He would have seen this movie a few months after Ebert and Siskel. Like Siskel would have died at the beginning of February 2000.
So maybe he was in a bad place.
Yeah, and so like
just
that was
shitting on everything that's coming out.
3 months before this movie came out. So he was just sitting there dealing with the death of Siskel, probably his Dr. Gonzo, as it were.
Yeah,
and he's actually Gonzo, you know. So
pretty disrespectful way to say it, but yeah.
I'm on board with disrespect.
I think we should strive at all times to speak in a respectful way. I think.
You think that's what this show's about? Anyway,
that brings us to the end. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. This has been one of our episodes, and so. If you liked Michael, you're going to want to check out the Real Debaters podcast, especially if you're a movie fan. But even if you're not, they'll take you along for the ride. They'll entertain you. All those episodes. Find something you're interested in. Check it out. Is there somewhere particular you'd like to point people to, Michael?
Just however you podcast, you can find us. If you Google the Real Debaters, it's we got really lucky with a name. No one else is there, so we hog about 5 pages of content, so it's not hard to find us. If you like How Did This Get Made, if that's your kind of podcast where people make fun of film and you like comedians and you like arguing, and we're your jam. We argue a lot of known shit. So wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. It's just REEL for the spelling. Come mass debate along with your favorite local cinephiles and have a good time. We're friendly.
Wonderful. Wonderful stuff. If you are in Winnipeg and you want to catch Club Soda Improv, and I don't freeze while I'm doing this, we are doing an improv show at the Gas Station Arts Center called Snowed In on December 28th. You can come on down. You can watch us do some incredible long-form crazy storytelling. That's going to be a really good time. We're breaking out a new format for that show. And we might have some special guests. You never know. And there's that. Thomas, do you want to tell people about something about season 1? Or
no, I don't, because at least temporarily, I think we're pausing for the month of December. But then we should be back theoretically Thursdays in January. I think we'll have some more shows. So I'll
do you want to let them? Do you want to let the listeners know maybe about our other show then? You want to put some fucking effort into the plugs?
Can you mark it, Thomas?
I really have to go at this time.
You have to go? So what do you mean you have to go? You have a hard out.
It's 2:52. Tight timeline. It's been such a pleasure, Michael, even if not an efficient one.
No, wait.
So thank you to all, and to all a good night.
Listen to what we do in the basement, I guess.
Fare thee
it's
well.
It's a D&D podcast.
So
let's play D&D.
Do not go gently into that good
there's
night.
There's like over 70 episodes. It's great.
We have overstayed
Please
our welcome, and I have miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.